Hello and welcome once again to the Cup Experience, covering all of the details of the 36th America's Cup. This is show 11, and as you're all well aware, this is a huge moment. It's the start of race number 1 of the 36th America's Cup match presented by Prada. Hi, I'm Tucker Thompson here in the United States, joined by my co-host Jack Griffin of CupExperience.com, and he is in Switzerland tonight. Jack, we are about to witness one of the most highly anticipated moments in the entire sport of sailing. It's a time when all sailing fans hold their breath. The start of race number 1 of the America's Cup. It's a chance for us to finally see how the teams stack up against each other after over 3.5 years of training. Jack, how can you not be excited? The America's Cup begins tonight.
Tucker, I feel like I used to feel when I was 8 years old on Christmas Eve, and my parents would let me get up as soon as Santa Claus had left. The racing is at 4 a.m. my time, and I want to tell you, I'm going to be there to see what's under the Christmas tree.
Well, before we get to Christmas in Jack's house, or the start of the America's Cup, we begin our show, where we always do, with the sponsor 60 seconds to thank the sponsors that make our show possible. Beginning with Mount Gay Rum, the official sailor's rum. Find Mount Gay at drizzly.com or order your own cocktail set from the cocktail courier link below. And send us your photos of you guys drinking Mount Gay Rum. We want to put you in the show, enjoying it with us. Thanks to SeaDeck, adhesive foam decking, which will literally transform the deck of your boat. It did for mine, and it did, of course, for American Magic, among many others as well. Special thanks to Axel Nobel and All Grip Fast Finishes. The sport's fastest yachts are finished with the All Grip Next Generation Top Coat HDT. Robin Birking Silver is something Jack knows a lot about, and there's a special American Magic collection that are now collector's edition. You can see cocktail tumblers, bottle coasters, serving trays with the American Magic logo, or you can customize and put whatever you want on the Robin Birking Silver. Ask Jack for more info or order them at americanmagic.cupexperience.com. And finally, thanks to PELLINI Coffee, the official coffee supplier of New York Yacht Club American Magic, with its 100% Arabica Espresso PELLINI Top Coffee, keeping sailors energized, and you can find it online at amazon.com. So, ladies and gentlemen, start your engines because it's time to race tonight. Welcome to the beginning of the 36th America's Cup. Now, throughout the Prada Cup Challenger Selection Series, the defender, Emirates Team New Zealand, has been waiting in the wings to see who they would face. They haven't had a chance to race since mid-December, so they can only practice and watch and try to continue developing before the match. The challenger from Italy is Luna Rossa Prada Pirelli. They are match fit, having the advantage of racing experience in the Challenger Series, putting them under pressure in real competition, which is invaluable. So, Jack, I have to ask, whose position would you rather be in, Emirates Team New Zealand or Luna Rossa Prada Pirelli?
I would really rather have been doing all that racing. It's a little bit maybe the romantic in me, but I think that the good sailing is going to really shine. I wouldn't mind having a faster boat, though.
So you could be a politician with that answer, and it's perfectly fair. Well, let's take a look at how we got to this point, a preview of the Challenger Series leading up to tonight, the America's Cup.
Seconds are crucial in any America's Cup, but when they're the opening moments of the first race, it's impossible to overstate their significance. A tiny advantage can be all it takes to deliver success. 4 years of anticipation means that the scrutiny is intense. As any cup sailor who's been there will confirm, training is one thing, racing quite another. Both teams have spent many days on the water, testing and training, but neither has spent much time on the racecourse. The challengers, Luna Rossa Prada Pirelli, have completed 18 live races. They're match fit, having worked their way to the cup the hard way. But they know little about the current performance of their opponents.
I think it's hard to judge performance by just watching the two boats sailing. We know they're fast because we sailed against them more than 2 months ago, and we saw them sailing during few practice.
The defenders, Emirates Team New Zealand, have completed just 6 races, and these were back in December during the America's Cup World Series. A great deal has changed since then. They have little experience of going head-to-head for points, but they have a great deal of data on the Italians. Having monitored the racing, they know what the challengers can deliver. The question is whether they can match it. And even if they can, few like to brag before the big day.
Yeah, well, I think it's a mystery for us, just like it is for everyone else. Obviously, we have a pretty good feel, and both the teams have been sailing in a similar patch of water a lot. But until we get to that first race where we actually get to line up and come off the start line together, and that'll be the first time I think both teams will really have a good feel for how that speed's going.
But under such pressure, strange things can happen. Both teams are capable of making mistakes, falling off their foils, near misses, and losing out at the start.
Tomorrow's the day where it all gets exciting, and we actually get to go and race and find out for real.
Everyone is really ready to go out racing tomorrow, and the message I pass to them, we got nothing to lose. We can only win.
So, almost 4 years after the last Cup match, with hundreds of thousands of hours spent in design and development, the first clues to the fate of the 36th America's Cup could be riding on the opening seconds.
Well, certainly more questions than answers until we get into the racing. And you saw at the end there, thanks to Matt Sheehan, a look at the schedule. And here's a better graphic. March 10th is today in New Zealand, the 9th here in the United States, and late at night in Europe. That's race 1 and race 2. Then we have a day off. And then thereafter, we will race every single day until one team gets to 7 wins. It could be as short as 4 days. It could be as long as 13 matches, 12 days. My goodness. But nobody knows until we get into the racing how it's going to go. Now, the big question on everyone's mind is, how are these two competitors going to stack up against each other? Specifically, what are the key factors that are going to contribute to the win in this America's Cup?
Yeah, I tell you what, I think the factor is the starts. Luna Rossa has to get ahead of Team New Zealand. Then once they get ahead, they have to keep them behind. But it all comes down to the start. Get in front.
Okay, the start, I agree with you there. I think that that has become a big factor now that we're starting upwind again. We're seeing this both the starts ahead typically stays ahead. I think there are two other factors. Personally, I think boat speed is always a key in the America's Cup. We've seen that. But if you start behind, it's going to take a lot more boat speed to catch up. And then the other thing is maneuvering. With these boundaries, maneuvers tend to be more important. And we're seeing, I think, Luna Rossa having an edge on maneuvers and starting, to be fair. The next question I want to ask you is about some changes that we're seeing, maybe last-minute changes, specifically the Kiwis. They have been training on the water with 2 helmsmen. We've had reports of that, and it might be something they tried early on, but they're bringing it back into their repertoire, Jack. Why do you think that is?
I am going to take Pete Burling at face value, what he said in the press conference before the first races, which is, we're going to sail the boat the way we always have done. I think when we've been seeing people, we've seen them working with without the helmsman changing sides. I think that's just for the pre-starts. I think there are times when there just isn't time to make the switch, and it's going to be just in the pre-starts. That's my prediction. Let's watch and see what we see.
All right. Well, we're going to look for that. The fact that they're rumored to be practicing at least says something about they're willing to step out of the box, if you will. But as you say, we'll have to see. Another thing that the Kiwis have been trialing, and this is very lately, is a Code Zero, something we haven't seen since before the Christmas Cup. All the teams trialed this early on, and they admitted that it was something that caused too much drag. But Jack, as we saw in that America's Cup World Series, New Zealand lost a race that they otherwise would have won due to the time limit, and now they are reputed to be testing a Code Zero again. What do you think of that, and why aren't the Italians doing it?
Well, I got a chance to ask a question in the press conference, the Zoom press conference yesterday, and that's what I asked Burling. I said, have you seen anything in the weather forecast that says you're going to use it? And how have you been training with it? Do you hoist it, drop it? And he says, we can do anything we want. But the point that he made that I thought was the most important was he remembers that race where the time ran out when they were racing against Ineos in the Christmas race. And he probably also remembers time running out as a spectator watching in 2013 when Team New Zealand was, within about a quarter of a mile of winning the America's Cup, and the time limit ran out on a race. They don't want that to happen. So I think if there's really, really light wind forecast, I think they might carry that thing and break it out if they need to stay in displacement mode. Be really interesting to see.
It'll be a small chance, but nonetheless something that may come up. I give him credit for practicing with that. Now, I had a chance to chat with two of the helmsmen, Peter Burling and Checco Bruni, and this next look is sort of an entertaining comparison, if you will, at two helmsmen in this cup that couldn't be more different. Here's a look. Pete, you seem totally relaxed all the time, completely at ease. How is that? You seem to be having the most fun of anybody out there. And I just want to find out, why is that?
I think I've had a lot of practice now.
For me, it's my first cup as an helmsman.
Whether it's the Olympic Games or previous America's Cup.
I tell you, it's probably because every other helmsman has been doing it already.
Done a lot of competing over the years in some pretty high pressure environments.
How much fun are you having driving an AC-75?
Different things make it fun. I think with an AC-75, just watching it sail is pretty interesting for most people.
I'm having a lot of fun.
And it's something I've really almost grown to enjoy now.
I'm enjoying really every day and every minute of this experience.
You don't get that many opportunities as an athlete to be able to compete, on the highest stage, in front of your home fans. So,
yeah, that's probably the reason. I mean,
it's pretty incredible to know you're competing for a country that you're very proud to be a part of. And
they're all done this experience before. For me, it's the first time.
I love it. Particularly, I love Checco Bruni. Now, interestingly, Jack, we reached out to Jimmy Spithill. He was too important and declined to speak with us, but I enjoy the juxtaposition of the personalities between Burling and Bruni. Now, here's some more from that interview before we look at our own thoughts in our show as to how these teams will do. I had a chance to ask each helmsman what they thought about their opponents. First up, Peter Burling.
Probably going into this Challenger Series, it was very hard to pick, which challenger we were actually going to get to verse, but it's pretty cool now to know who we're going to line up against at the start line, and it's been pretty interesting to see them grow throughout the Challenger Series. And probably looking at it, I don't know, 6 months ago, I always kind of had the thought they were the strongest out of the challengers. I think they've got a pretty nice all-round package, to be honest. They've got pretty nice foils, pretty nice rudder, pretty nice aero package. Sails seem pretty nice. I don't think there's any weaknesses from Luna Rossa, and I think they'd hopefully look across at us and think the same, and I think that's why it should be a good race.
The media seems to believe, in fact, they publicly seem to believe that you guys are faster. What do you think?
I think the rate these boats are developing, the speeds you see on the first day will definitely won't be the speeds you'll see on the last day, and people will keep improving throughout the event. So it's going to be really down to who can get to the start line in race one in good shape, and who can keep improving the quickest.
The media seems to have suggested at times that perhaps you have less experience in match racing, or particularly in starting, compared to the other two. What would you say to that?
Well, the media always seems to just use the less experienced side of it, and because I'm one person, and there are two that are both quite a bit older than me, they probably do have a bit more experience. But it's something. We've got a great team here. We've got a great sailing group, and also coaching staff. We've got the likes of Ray Davies, Hamish Wilcox, who are pretty incredible, and the coaching side of things. We've got Blair, Glenn, Andy, Josh, all really good yachties in their own regard. So I think something we have proven here as a team is that we're pretty quick at learning, pretty quick at developing, and we're pretty happy with where we sit right now. And we've been learning a whole heap from watching the others race, and I don't think anyone's I'd say, overly experienced in match racing in AC75, so it's going to be a lot about who can learn the quickest. I think that's the joy of the America's Cup, isn't it? You don't really get a good understanding until you line up off the start on the first race, and we're definitely very happy with the package we've put together and what we can achieve on the water. But you don't really get to see those 100% until you actually get to race. So that's why we're looking forward to it so much.
Peter Burling could play poker, probably win the World Series of Poker. He is stone-faced. In fact, the only time his brow furrowed in that interview is when I said the media suggested he might not be as good at match racing or pre-starts, and I think he begs to differ based on the score of the last America's Cup. Now, our next helmsman is Checco Bruni. He's in his first America's Cup and enjoying every minute of it. Here's what he had to say about his opponent.
Well, I think that they proved that they were a fast boat during the Christmas race in pretty much all the conditions, especially in the strong wind. They have very small foils, so maybe the very light wind that could potentially be a problem for them, but again, not sure. So, but I know as well that we've made some huge progress from Christmas to now. I'm pretty sure that our performance have improved at least 10%. So if that's enough or not, hard to say. Peter is a very talented sailor. I sailed against him only in the MOF class in a couple of occasions. And I know he's a very, maybe the most talented sailor around, and he proved in Bermuda that he had no fear on pushing the boat in the pre-start, and he collected a very high number of starts won against a lot of teams. So he's been shifting from 49er to ocean racing to America's Cup with great success. So full respect for his career, but no fear of him. Just I know we are strong and we can be very strong.
I like Checco Bruni's approach to not only Peter Burling, but the sport in general. It's fun to watch him. And so, Jack, when you watch those two interviews, they predictably didn't really give away much, did they?
No, they didn't. But, Checco said the magic word to me, and that was respect. I also I respect him, but I don't fear him. And I think Peter, without saying the word, showed respect for Luna Rossa. So two really good sportsmen, no trash talking, just, let's get out on the water and go at it. I thought it was great.
Yep. No, I agree. And we've got more coming in our Cup Experience show throughout the week from both Checco Bruni and Peter Burling. And actually, Max Sirena, who's the team director of Luna Rossa Prada Pirelli. Our next feature is a fan favorite, the Ask Jack segment, sponsored by Seahorse Magazine. And perhaps, Jack, you can answer the question in your segment next. Who is going to perform better? What do the Italians think of their chances? I know you had a chance to speak directly to Max Sirena. Here's a look.
I caught up with Max Sirena recently and had a chance to ask him about how they're getting ready for the match.
Now we need to be focused on the next one, which is going to be tough, super tough, because they're fast. They're really fast.
Okay, so we know they're really fast. How do you beat a faster boat? What do you have to do?
Well, that is a good question. It's a question we want to answer as well every day when we are doing a meeting or debrief. I think one of the good thing is the fact that you are sailing inside of the boundary. For a faster boat is harder than a conventional race course. And you can look the race or the Christmas Cup between American Magic and Team New Zealand. They sail around 15 knots or something like that. You can see if you're doing a good start, you're sailing well around the course, you can keep a faster boat behind you. Of course, you need to be perfect. You need to win the start, take a good lead in the start, and tack on the phase all the time, and try to avoid a split. I mean, for the faster boat, if he's behind, obviously, what he wants to tries to create a split at the top mark or at the bottom gate. So the boat ahead, if it's lower, it needs to try to stay in phase with the other boat, and then I guess you can keep a boat behind. And for sure, this is what we want to play, because we know they're going to be fast in the middle range, like really fast. So we will push them for sure from the pre-start and try to race well on the race course. And then we'll see, because I mean, last time when we sailed with them, we had two races, one in breeze and one in light wind. The one in breeze we didn't sail well at all. We had a few issues with the boat. We were sail way under our target, and the one in light breeze, I mean, we were almost 1,000 meters ahead, and unfortunately we had a big hole, a big drop in the breeze, and then whoever is gonna pop up on the foil, and then is gonna win the race. So we know they're gonna be fast, because we follow them, and we know they're pretty strong in medium heavy breeze. It's been really important for us, to be honest, to develop ourselves and our way to sail the race against the round robin, because luckily they put us a lot of question mark where we did a mistake. No, forget 1 second the performance of the pure performance of the boat, but where we did a mistake and why we did a mistake. So we criticize ourselves quite a lot in our internal debrief, and that actually gave us the opportunity to do changes and to adapt a little bit in a different way the way we sail the boat without changing people. No, at the beginning they say, where this guy they're gonna go with 12 men. There's been a lot of talking, but luckily at the end we are here try to be the defender. No, we are in the match, and I think we actually used all the critique about coming from even due to the press release or due to the interview of the other team, and then so we start to see how we can shuffle a little bit the responsibility on board now, and obviously we got two talented guys like Checco and Jimmy. They are two really good guys, and on the center they are completely different compared the two of them. And then we had Pietro, which is in the middle of those two guys, which is I can tell you, one of the best sailor I ever worked with. And then we just analyze how we can improve our way to sail. So we give a little bit more, not responsibility, because everyone on board is responsible, but we just realize, well, let's use him more, no? He's there, he's a talented guy, he's a skilled guy, he's the only guy which he goes across. So he's the only guy can have a view of both sides of the boat, and then we apply that. We just look more on using differently Pietro, and having Jimmy and Checco taking the main when Pietro is going in the back of the boat, or watching the race course, the shift where there is more or less pressure, which the bottom mark, and then we really start to work with the three of them to handle the strategy around the race course. And it's funny, when we lost the last race with Ineos in the round robin, I said to Philippe, do you know what? I'm happy to go through the semi-final, because it's going to make us stronger. We're going to take the risk to go out, but if we are coming out from the semi-final, we're going to be stronger than before. And I think that is true.
Well, there's no question that Luna Rossa has had more race training than Emirates Team New Zealand. We'll see how well they do when we get into the match in just a few days. Max, thanks very much for the interview and for spending time with us. Yeah, it was really fun to talk to Max. You know, the thing I really like about him, he is direct, he's honest, he answers the questions, and he tells it like it is. It was really good to talk to him. Really, really fun.
I enjoyed that segment. And I also picked up on something that you just pointed out. I think you're absolutely right, and that's the word honesty. Max Sirena is perhaps the most honest sailor that we've seen on camera in the shows and in the press conference interviews and whatnot. And that honesty has led me to ask you this question. Are they nervous? Because you hear Max talking about a difference in boat speed, at least in a lot of conditions, perhaps everything except really light. You hear them talking about, admittedly, New Zealand is faster. They're going to need perfect starts. They're going to have to sail perfectly on the course and get ahead of them and keep them behind. Those are all high percentage or low percentage, sort of high risk things to go in knowing that you might be up against it. So do you think that Luna Rossa is a little bit nervous to face the Kiwis?
I don't think they're nervous. I think they absolutely respect them. I think they absolutely expect the Kiwis to be faster. The question I asked Max was, Max, how big a difference in boat speed can you overcome by sailing better? And he just said, look, we have to get in front. We have to then prevent them from getting a split at the gates. We need to tack on the shifts and stay in front of them. The way I look at it is this: they have to do that perfectly, but they can fail 6 times. If they do it 7 times, they win the America's Cup. So I think there's a lot of respect. I don't think there's any fear. I think there's a lot of realism. They know what they have to do.
Okay, fair point. Speaking of, let's move to our matrix. We used this before the Prada Cup finals as well. Jack and I independently rated the two teams based on the factors on the left side here of this chart. We didn't see what each other put down until now. So Jack, let's go through it. The first thing I noticed is that you and I both seem to rate these teams relatively even. The difference at the bottom there is I gave the Kiwis roughly a 5% advantage. 84% out of perfection, I suppose, and you gave Luna Rossa a 2% advantage against how you rated the Kiwis. So my first question is, you're a fan, obviously, of Luna Rossa winning the America's Cup, or at least at this stage. You think they're stronger?
I'm not sure I would use the word stronger. Maybe they're luckier. I'm not sure. I guess I'm an engineer. I'm usually the left brain, analytical. We've got a chart full of numbers there, but I'm doing this one a bit with my gut and a bit with my heart. I think that Luna Rossa is going to surprise people.
Okay, so back to the matrix here. And to be fair, you said that last time we had a matrix with the NEOS Team UK and Luna Rossa, and you were right. Luna Rossa could very well win the America's Cup, but I'm going to go back to 2 parts on this thing here that look to me like we differed the most. The first is with Luna Rossa, Prada, Pirelli, and their sailing team. I gave them a 7. I think New Zealand has a stronger sailing team. And you gave Luna Rossa a 10, so we're the farthest apart on sailing team. What do you make of that?
Looking at the sailing team, take Jimmy Spithill, Checco Bruni, Pietro Cibello. Now, go over on the Kiwi boat. We've got Pete Burling, Blair Tuke, and Glenn Ashby. Yeah, I guess I'd have to, say that there may be an edge to the Kiwis there, but I don't think there's a big edge. I think that they're really strong. And the other sailors on Luna Rossa's boats, I match them up against the Kiwi sailors any day. I think that's, I think the sailing teams are both strong, but I certainly don't give any overwhelming advantage to either team.
Okay, I see your point there. Now, the other question I have for you, the other area where we seem to differ, is crew work. I gave the Kiwis a 7. I gave Luna Rossa, Prada, Pirelli, or you rather gave the Kiwis a 10. Let me start that over again. I messed it up.
Yeah.
So keep recording. Keep me on camera there. Okay, fair point. I'll give you that. The other area where I think we differ a lot is the way we both rate Emirates Team New Zealand in crew work. I gave them a 7, and I gave Luna Rossa a higher mark, and I think that's simply because I like the dual helmsman approach. It seems to be working for them as far as the maneuvers, and also the Italians are practicing their crew work in race conditions, so I think that gives them advantage. Whereas you have given Emirates Team New Zealand a 10 for crew work. You've rated them much higher. Why is that?
Well, they're a crack outfit, and these are the best sailors in the world. We've got the 2 best teams in the America's Cup going at it. I just don't see how you can give either team anything lower than an almost perfect mark for crew work. I think we're going to see some really, really good work by the crews. Toss up.
Toss-up, I think, is possibly the best word to describe this this America's Cup, at least going into tonight's races. So a lot of questions to answer, and it's interesting to look at how we rate the teams. Now, when we look at the pre-start, in our last show, I analyzed Jimmy Spithill and Checco Bruni's approach. I think they have the same pattern to most starts, and that is to end up on the starboard lay line for the right-hand end to lead in. They seem to like that sort of high percentage, very strong maneuver. I'm going to make a prediction tonight about how I think Peter Burling is going to start against Spithill and Bruni. Now, I have no idea if this is right or not. It's based on just a very few pre-starts that I've seen them do, and also how they sailed in Bermuda, but that was reaching start. So I could be wrong, but here's my prediction. I think Peter Burling likes to lead in as well. And so I think he's actually going to lead in earlier. In the Christmas or America's Cup World Series races, we saw him leading into the start before his opponent and going all the way down to lay line for the pin, the left-hand end of the line, and then just time on distance to the start. So if he leads in earlier than Jimmy Spithill's typical counter is to fishtail a little bit, get the bows going opposite, and then hip up off his opponent, start to windward with weather gauge, or to tack away. So I think that's my prediction for what we're going to see in the first start. There's one caveat. If the right-hand side is massively favored, then we're probably going to see both boats fighting for the right. I think if Burling leads, he'll be tight to leeward. And if Burling is trailing, we'll probably see him start late and tack away at the right. So that's the only caveat there. We'll see if that happens in the pre-start. We recently put out a poll on Facebook to see what the fans think, and it's interesting, but perhaps not surprising. 66% of you think that Emirates Team New Zealand has the advantage, and 34% thinks Luna Rossa Prada Pirelli will win the America's Cup. So we will see. Interestingly, the betting down in New Zealand has it roughly 2-1, with the Kiwis being ahead. So anyway, let's look at our viewer comments and see what some people typed in. What's funny about this, if you read through them, some people love Luna Rossa, one word, Spithill, Luna Rossa, 20 years, it's time. And then you see people supporting Emirates Team New Zealand. Pete, you are a legend. And of course, Jack, your favorite line, expect the unexpected. So thanks to all of your comments on Facebook and also emailing us. We want to hear more from you as the America's Cup continues. Jack, what's the weather going to be in tonight's first race of the Cup?
Okay, it's should be, middle, conditions that should be suitable for really good racing. 12 knots, gusting to 17. That's high enough speed that we're going to see some real strong racing.
Okay. And Jack, what race course do you think we're going to see tonight?
Well, we just got the briefing from Ian Murray, and it's race course E down by Wahiki Island. And the wind is going to go right throughout the afternoon. So maybe that right end of the line will be favored. Let's see.
Okay, we'll see if my pre-start prediction comes true or not. Now, most of you probably know by now, particularly in the United States, you can watch the racing on NBC Sportsnet. It's going to be time delayed on TV, or you can watch it real time by paying for the NBC Sports Gold package. I've heard it's discounted because we're now more than halfway through the event. And of course, our fan favorite section, don't forget to Ask Jack. Go to cupexperience.com and write your questions in and ask Jack. We'll be happy to answer them in future Cup Experience shows. And now, Jack, here's our favorite section. Our official toast. I've got my rum and coke here by Mount Gay, and here's to race number one, day number one of the America's Cup.
Race number one. Cheers.
That's always my favorite part with the Mount Gay rum. I know it's very late for you, Jack, so you're keeping Pellini coffee is keeping you awake. But anyway, folks, the America's Cup is about to begin. This is going to be the most exciting moment, race number one of the 36th America's Cup match presented by Prada. We're excited to see it, and I know you are too. Once again, we hope you enjoy the Cup Experience. We're going to be broadcasting by 8 p.m. before every scheduled race day from now through the end of the America's Cup. We certainly hope you'll join us and tell your friends. Now, you can comment or join our mailing list by sending us an email, tuckertlive@gmail.com, and also email us photos of you guys enjoying Mount Gay rum or Pellini coffee, and we want to put you in the show. Don't forget to like, follow, and subscribe. Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, you can follow us at Tucker T Live. and Instagram, Tucker Thompson 1, or go to Jack's website, cupexperience.com. Sign up for his America's Cup newsletter, and remember to click on Ask Jack to send your questions. And we'd also like to thank all of you for watching the Cup Experience, and thank all the sponsors for making it possible. This is going to be an exciting race number 1, day number 1 of the 36th America's Cup. And there's going to be a lot more in store. We want to thank you for watching the Cup Experience. Jack, I thank you late at night in Switzerland. And thanks to our producer and director, Mason Sheen. I'm Tucker Thompson. Thank you for watching the Cup Experience.